We just watched a massive flush of the markets, and it's not just about crypto, it's also the stock market as well. We just witnessed a major sell-off. Now, a lot of people are looking at this and panicking, but then there's also a lot of people looking at this and saying that this is clear market manipulation. In my opinion, that's exactly what this is. I want to talk about this, and I actually want to address a few things happening in crypto. Again, a lot of people will have their own opinion here, but as we do really kind of look at my screen, we are seeing a sea of red. It's not just the top 100, by the way. It's the top 1,000. The entire market is red. Exchanges are red. And this is happening after Bitcoin just created a new all-time high in May. And everyone is questioning what's happening. Are we going to see alt season? Is the bull run done? What's going on? Well, this is what the market looks like. We're at a $3.29 trillion market cap. Bitcoin is trading at about roughly 102, right? It's roughly like 101.8K, 101.9K. Ethereum is at about 2.4K. XRP, $2.09. Now, I want to look at number one, liquidations, because we did see a very large amount of liquidations happen today. Over $983 million were liquidated in the last 24 hours, with $891.9 million from long positions. So most of this was, people in long positions. It caused a liquidity, cascade, which happens every single time that we see over leveraged positions get targeted. But it wasn't just about, leverage being targeted. It was about the entire market being targeted. This is Bitcoin right now. Let me refresh real quick because CoinMarketCap is broken. This is what it looks like. This is the last month. Again, we have that nice run up. This is roughly it's actually $112,000. And then we have the drop here. And it was actually around $100,400. Now the question is this the bottom, or are we going to go lower? I'm going to answer that. The main thing that I'm focused on here is altcoins, right? What have I been saying over the last couple, days and weeks? I've been saying to just make sure that you are ready to, see the big drawdowns in this market. Because while Bitcoin on the daily is down 3%, and even in the last 7 days, it's only down about 3.62%, which is absolutely nothing. Altcoins like XRP, for an example, are down 5%, and in the last 7 days, about 4.24%. So nothing too crazy, but you could see that the drop here is almost double, and that's because of Bitcoin dominance being so high. Now, in terms of XRP in the last month, we did run up to about $2.60 back in the middle of May, and we're now at $2.09 again. Again, this market is volatile. We are going to see significant swings here while the market just chops and it just continues to consolidate. With Bitcoin, again, I do suspect that we are going to be trading much higher later this year. I'm also going to be talking a little bit more about XRP, but I actually want to address a few things in this market. Number one, I did say that this is market manipulation. I said market manipulation at its finest because it is pretty obvious. I do have to agree with Scartus here because it is extremely obvious. With everything happening around crypto, stablecoin legislation, the SEC opening up the doors for crypto, all of this good news, during this time, we have not really, I don't think that we've really witnessed any positive price action for altcoins since going back to January, for an example, right? Like, even though XRP had some nice moves here, the last time that we were trading at a significant high or had any positive development in price action was back in January. We're now 5 months out since positive price action. So we have just been consolidating and chopping while all this good news comes out, and it is frustrating. Don't get me wrong, I understand where a lot of you are coming from, where we see all of this positive, development happening around this space, and we see all this great news around legislation, but the price action isn't there. And that's because we are still tied back to Bitcoin. And even today, we're still seeing manipulation of these markets. Now, I'm going to go over why I do think that this is market manipulation. But we have over here, markets are dumping because of this tweet, pure market manipulation. This is from Elon. He said, time to drop the really big bomb. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, Donald J. Trump. Now, the reason why Elon is posting these types of things is because of what happened today. So in the last 24 hours, we watched as Elon Musk flooded X with a bunch of posts regarding Trump. And of course, Trump did, say things back as well, because it's just been a back and forth battle today. Over here, we actually have Trump escalating the situation. Trump is suggesting that they are terminating Musk federal contracts. The easiest way to save money in our budgets, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that Biden didn't do it. And then we also have on the bottom there, Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted, that he knew for months I was going to do, and he just went crazy. So again, what's who are we going to believe here? We don't know. I don't think any of these individuals we should even trust. But it's just been a back and forth battle here. Yet these two are still following each other. And it just feels as if this is happening at a very interesting time. Now, on top of that, all of this, pressure has been built up around this bill, right? We've been hearing about this reconciliation bill. We have the Senate is losing confidence behind this bill. 48 hours ago, there was a 75% chance it was passed before July. Now it's a 50% chance, and dropping is Elon's Kill the Bill campaign unfolding live. So this is the main, reason why all of this is being talked about, on top of the fact that, it feels as if it's happening at a time where everyone's attention should be diverted away from the big news, which is the fact that we are getting close to stablecoin legislation, probably this upcoming week. On top of that, the FOMC meeting with the Fed is happening this month as well. It feels as though we're seeing that flush of the market and the shakeout of the market right before the biggest moves happen. I have witnessed this happen cycle over cycle now. Back in 2020, right? The main thing that really kind of scared everyone was altcoins getting decimated into 2021, with of course XRP getting the lawsuit announcement as well. Everyone thought altcoins were dead, and then all of a sudden 2021 came and alt season hit, and everyone was just taken off guard, right? The same thing's happening here. Markets are getting wiped out right before, in my opinion, the biggest moves happen. I'm going to go over that here in a second. But all of this continued to get exaggerated, with even over here breaking Elon Musk agrees President Trump should be impeached, with JD Vance replacing him. On top of that, we also have over here the Trump tariffs will cause a recession in the second half of this year. Again, when we think about these tariffs, I don't think that we're going to see a recession this year. My thought process here is recession in 2026, just like Income Sharks is actually saying here. And the reason why is because it's typically every 2 years, right? Every 2 years we saw a recession when, we were getting close to one. It was 2 years after the president got elected. So this is the first year. Second year would be 2026. But outside of that, the main thought process from my point of view is exactly what I outlined back in April as well. Now, just for reference, okay, I want to go back real quick to April. I posted this on April 4th, okay? Let's go back to April 4th. Here we have it. This is April 6th, but it's every 2 days, right? We could see that, or every week. So this was the week of April 4th. So the low was about $74,400. From that point, we rallied to over $112,000 almost dollars. What I put out was, I'm pretty sure this entire stock market crash since the end of January was planned. We just witnessed a combined total of $10 trillion wiped out of the stock market. Just imagine how much money has gotten shaken out of these markets and how much is sidelined. Now I want to put into perspective what we are now seeing, which is hinting at a massive rally brewing behind the scenes. All the big banks are pushing recession fears, i.e. JP Morgan, Goldman, Deutsche, etc. Now, Elon Musk is talking about recession this year. Again, this is all fear, right? It's all fear-based, emotion-based. 44.4 million views. Look at the engagement on this post. Everyone is watching. So what ended up happening today was we saw, all of these posts. This was the big one that got all of the attention, right? 17.4 million views. This was at 3:10. Okay, he posted this, and then shortly after at 4:26, he posted about the recession. So this ignited everything. So from this point to this point, we saw markets sell off in a huge way. We could even see that on the daily for Bitcoin. Okay, let's go back to this view. Okay, so the markets hit the bottom at about 5:15 p.m. So let's go back to that first post, right? This was at 3:10 p.m. So this is one. It already started to sell off because we started to see discussions on Elon's Twitter. And then, of course, towards 3:10, here we get the post. Boom. Cascade all the way down to 5 p.m. because on top of this post, we got the recession post. I said over here, retail sentiment is absolutely slaughtered with fear and greed indexes hitting single digits, mainstream media pushing fear porn headlines while Jim Cramer urges boomers to sell. The dollar is crashing, bullish signal for risk on assets, i.e. crypto and stocks, almost all charts hovering around macro support or on macro trends. We just witnessed the largest time plus price action capitulation in a very long time. Many are claiming it's similar or worse than COVID. What's crazy is that Bitcoin is at 80K plus and some altcoins like XRP are at major highs. In my opinion, these markets are terrified and have been for weeks. I personally see a massive rally coming over the next few weeks that will shock the majority as usual. It's time to lock in or get locked out. I still believe this. And today, I think that it's still very important to go back to this post because of what's happening. This right now is the S&P 500. I put out a report in the paid side of the Discord. If you guys do want to join it, you guys are more than welcome to in the description. It was the mid-week market update where I said that the S&P, after having this nice rally, it's in key areas of resistance now. It retested these levels back in the beginning of March. And also, by the way, the levels were hit back here in November of 2024 before we had this nice little sell-off into this red zone. I said we will probably see a sell-off. Okay, all of this news today that started to drop the markets accelerated this. We probably sell off into this red zone and then we bounce. And I do believe that we hit a new all-time high. We are very close to new all-time highs on stocks at a time where now markets are terrified. It's comical. Retail is blinded by the fear. On top of that, Bitcoin. Okay, I outlined, since going all the way back to roughly like the middle of May, that we were looking at this fair value gap. This fair value gap is around 97.8K to about 100.7K. We tapped it today, but I do still suspect that we could go lower and completely fill this gap, retesting this trend going all the way back to April, where we do, see something very similar to, this, where we, chop to this, we chop a little bit more on this trend, and then we break to the upside again. This would also align with the Fed, rate decision. On top of that, we do know that the legislation around stablecoin bills is, being talked about in a big way. It feels as though the market is still opening up in a huge way for institutional players. So I do suspect that we probably have a lot more on the sidelines waiting to get announced. But overall, this is exactly what I'm watching for on Bitcoin. And also what's crazy is we just hit a new all-time high on May 22nd. Now, all of a sudden, markets are terrified after we're having a nice little sell-off. Again, like I said, these markets are being heavily manipulated. You cannot get shaken out at this time. And by the way, when it comes to Bitcoin and when it comes to altcoins and the alt season, right, I go back to Bitcoin dominance, all right? I want to go back on the 3-week real quick because I also want to go and look at this time period here, because I suspect that we're at this point on Bitcoin dominance where we're very close to the topping point. We might have one more nice little run up here on Bitcoin dominance to about 65, 66, or 67% or so. But this next candle on this chart towards the end of this month, in my opinion, is going to flip red. I would not be getting shaken out of this market, especially out of altcoin positions, when Bitcoin dominance looks like this. Everyone thinks that this cycle is different, that Bitcoin's just going to continue to run the show, but we know that that is not the case. XRP has outperformed Bitcoin this entire year and this entire cycle. It's also outperformed Ethereum. We will see alt season, and the crazy thing about that is that XRP is still over $2. When we see the real fireworks hit this market, we are going to see so many people that were sidelined because of all of these major shakeouts, all of the, fear porn around recessions and, oh, the markets are crashing because of this, or, oh, we're about to see, one of the worst bear markets ever, and all these fear, posts about the charts. All of that is starting to gatekeep a lot of people and lock them on the sidelines because they're so scared. We are going to see all of that money FOMO back in, and I hate to see that because, we know that people are going to be buying a lot higher than what they, originally bought at. We're probably going to see a lot of people get, liquidated. We're going to see a lot of people lose money. But this is because nobody is actually following the real, news. They're listening to all the noise that's getting posted. This whole battle between Elon and Donald Trump, in my opinion, is just one big distraction. It's all noise, very similar to the trade war, right? I talked about tariffs and I talked about the trade war. I said it's all noise to keep us out. It was going to be something that cleared up. All right. And it did clear up. It's why we saw Bitcoin hit a new all-time high. If we were so terrified, all right, we would have got out, during these major areas where, panic set in. For an example, here we have a huge sell-off. Here we have another huge sell-off. Here we also have another huge sell-off. We would have been out at these levels when Bitcoin just continued to skyrocket to the upside. And by the way, when it comes to XRP, right, we also know that XRP during this entire time was also having a pretty good time as well. It was rebounding. We would have been selling at the lows. I am not panicking here. I'm not fearful at all. I'm not going to get panicked because, a billionaire and a president are fighting over X. I am focused on the facts here, which is the fact that the S&P and stocks are getting very close to a new all-time high. The Fed is about to make a decision on rate cuts. At the same exact time that the historic stablecoin bill is about to pass, I would not be getting shaken out at this point. So I want you guys to be warned, and I want you guys to pay attention to what matters here. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.